everybody, and thank you so much for joining me once again here at the Artlife YouTube channel. My name's Mrs. B, and today I'm going to teach you how to use resin. Now, resin is super messy, it's really sticky, so I suggest setting up a bit of a resin station to protect any table or floor that you're working on. This is also not recommended for children. You should definitely have a supervising adult to help you with it. But I'll show you a beginner's guide to create something that looks like this. Now, I've just used a really cheap chopping board from Kmart and used my resin and different paints and dyes to add colour with my resin. You'll also need a packet that looks a little bit like this. It's a pour-on gloss kind of starter pack, and it comes with a resin and a hardener, and you do need both to create something like that. You also will need some either acrylic paints or some alcohol ink. Now, you can get these from Zart Art, and I have a link below if you'd like to follow that to get a discount code to order through me. Now, my mother-in-law actually did this activity with me to show you that any beginner and any level of experience is able to do something like this. So use my video, set your station up, and we'll get started with our resin art. So for today's resin art task, the main thing you need is obviously some resin. This is a fantastic brand I got from Zart Art, and it contains some resin as well as some hardener. So you do need both. A packet like this, which is 1 litre in total, cost about $50 Australian. So it is expensive, but it does go a long way, and you should be able to make about 4 or 5 chopping boards with this amount. So instead of paying, say, $30 or $40 per resin art board, you'll be able to make about 5 for $50. Some other things you might need is some ink. This is fantastic alcohol ink. This creates a transparent, colourful resin, which is really beautiful when you're wanting to blend colours. But you could also just use acrylic paint as well. This works really well, but it is a more opaque kind of texture, so it's not see-through. But this is a cheaper option if you want to go for that. Now, you do need to set up your area really, really well because resin smells, it's sticky and really messy, so please prepare yourself really well. Firstly, you'll need some gloves on your hands. You'll need some paper or plastic cups to mix your colours in. You'll need something to stir with. I suggest just something plastic or paper that you can throw out. And you'll also need some drop sheets to catch some of the resin that falls off the side of the board. Now, you'll also need some sort of tray to elevate your chosen surface. So for example, I would put my oven tray down first, and then that way my resin can sit on top. Because if you were to put it straight down onto your surface, it would literally dry and stick to the surface. You will never be able to take it off. So it needs to be elevated, kind of like that. So get your resin art station set up and we will get started. All right, so let's get started. I have my mother-in-law Di here. So she's here to learn along with you guys. I'm going to create 2 different types of resin art for you today. The surface that I've chosen is just a real El Cheapo Kmart wooden chopping board, and we're going to just add a bit of colour to about 1/3 of it, so just this end here. And Di has a really big Lazy Susan board, so it's a bit more challenging because of the size, but we'll work through it. So the thing you want to work out is whatever colour you want sort of at the very end here. And I'm thinking I might have just a nice kind of white because I think that looks a little bit like a shoreline of a beach. But I'm going to use some different colours today. I might use some sort of pinks and purples and blues. The best thing is using colours that are sort of similar to one another. I talk a lot about harmonious colours, and if you're using colours that are really different or opposite each other on the colour wheel, kind of like blue and orange, the colours, when blended, kind of go a really pooey brown. So you want to stick with colours that are similar to one another. You're going to have a nicer effect. So what you want to do is grab a cup. You want to get some resin. Here's my resin bottle here. I'm just going to pour a small amount. Just like that, as you can see. We'll just do a little bit for now. of my resin into the cup. Now I'm going to add an extra 50% of, it's half resin, half hardener. So you need to have the same amount of resin as you do hardener for the chemical reaction to do its thing. So some people measure, I just do a roundabout. I'm a little bit lazy that way. So the first thing I'm going to do is add some acrylic white paint. The waterier the better. Squeeze that straight on in, and we need to give that a good strong mix. Not only are we mixing the resin and the hardener together, we're mixing whatever colour we're choosing. Oh, now we're literally going to pour it onto our surface. You can work directly on the table at the start, but in order to let it dry is when you need to put it on your elevated surface. So I'm going to pour this directly onto my surface. If you want a straight line, you do need to be careful to kind of pour it in a straight line, but I want a more wobbly kind of organic style. So I'm just going to do this, wobble, wobble. Beautiful, a little bit more. Now, if you don't use it all, that's fine. We can leave that to the side and we can use that a little bit later. And I'm going to make another colour. You can talk.
Oh. You don't have to. So you're using these colours?
I'll use it, yeah. What colour do you reckon first?
Do the
Blue? Let's go blue. All right. So when using alcohol ink, you don't need a lot, which is good because these aren't cheap. They're a really strong pigment dye. And so I'm just going to do about 3 or 4 drops straight in. And this will give me a really translucent kind of colour. If you're wanting this to go opaque, you could actually then literally add in your acrylic white paint as well. But let's see what happens when it's a little bit more see-through. Mixing, mixing. Obviously, the more ink you add, the darker the colour is going to be. But this is a really nice sort of light blue. Now, when I add this to my chopping board, I'm going to overlap it a little bit. You'll see why. Cool. I've got a little bit on my table there, which was good that we put the drop sheet down. All right, now this is where you have a little bit of fun with the colours. You can move your chopping board a little bit to let the colours kind of play with each other slightly. You'll be doing this quite a bit. If you want the blue a little lower, you can bring it down. Remember, it's not recommended that you place food directly on top of resin. So if you're wanting to put crackers and stuff out, you need a part of the board that is resin free. Please try to keep your work surface as clean as possible, just because if there's resin on your drop sheet and you put your board down into it, the back is going to end up with a lot of gooey kind of resiny mess. So this is why we're wearing gloves. It is extremely sticky. Thank you. All right, and you just continue this process until you get your desired effect, really. So if you just want a little bit of resin, really not much, I'm just going to add a little bit of pink now. Do you want to have a go?
Yep.
Cool. All right, Di's going to have her first go. So let's just pour it on. I would pour sort of close to the blue in a wobbly kind of way. Yeah. Beautiful.
Don't need to use it all?
Don't need to use it all. You can if you want to. You can always come back and add more later.
Yep.
Yeah, so let's let those colours sort of play with each other again. You can see it's a really beautiful sort of combination here with the transparent blue and the white. Looks really oceany. Obviously, if you pull it down, it goes lower. And the more resin you add, the thicker it's going to become. But that's looking really cool. Now I want to cover up to the edge here, so I'm going to keep going, but this time I'm going to add a purple, which is opaque, just to show you the effect. Something I learnt, I did this last summer because I made a whole lot of resin chopping boards for my daughter's kinder teachers, and I left it outside on a summer night in Australia, which anyone from Australia knows there are bugs And so don't do that, because you'll end up with 1,000 bugs stuck to your sticky resin that you cannot get off. So that was something I learnt, but I hope you guys don't have to. Do you want to do this one too?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You can always add more, like if this is just too white, we can add, say, more of this purple if we want. And play around with that too. Just depends on the style you're going for. All right, I might just finish it off with some more blue. So I'm going to use the same cup that I used with my blue. You can see I've barely used any of my resin, and I've almost finished my chopping board. So it does go a fairly long way, but I might just make a little bit more for this because I know Dara wants to use this color anyway. So we might as well make a fair bit of this color. So with this blue, I'm just going to put it straight over the top of any areas that have not yet got any resin on it, and also maybe just go over a little bit with the top. But you do have a fair bit of time to sort of work with it. It takes a really long time to dry, so you don't have to feel like you need to rush this. Take it to the side. It is going all over my placemat now, so please do not work on, you know, a good kitchen bench or anything like that, because it is super sticky. But it's almost like paint pouring. You kind of just have to let the colours do their thing as well. So that looks really cool, and you'll see there's a fairly even coat. I don't know if you're able to see, but there's a fairly even coat. What you need to do though is just what Di's doing is, you know, getting rid of the excess paint off the side, because that will set and that will dry there, and you don't really want that to happen. So wipe it as clean as you can before then putting it on your elevated surface to dry for a good 48 hours, I'd say. Oh, something I did forget. Sorry, I want to show you guys this. I'm just going to make a tiny amount now, because I just want to show you. If you're using alcohol inks, the metallic option is fabulous, and it is just so amazing what type of effects you can do. So I'm going to create a bit of a gold accent. So this rich gold looks great. I also have a silver that Di might want to have a play with later. And we'll see what happens. So the gold or a silver kind of metallic is a really nice finishing touch. And again, if you move it around, there you go. I think that looks pretty cool.
Nice.
Get ready to set. Beautiful. All right, and leave it to dry. One done. All right, Di's turn.
Oh.
Do you feel confident now? Can we do it? No? Yours is hard because it's huge. So, you know, the manoeuvring is
Yeah, I know. I was thinking that.
What Di is hoping to create is something like this in a beachy sort of style. So we're going to add a opaque white and then add some blues, and then even mix a bit of aqua and turquoise as well. So let's see if we can create something that looks like this.
You should have shown that.
I know.
Pressure on.
Pressure. We can do this. All right. Yeah, so the texture is a lot like natural honey. So it's really sticky, really gooey, and probably a lot thicker than what it looks like. So Di's just gonna pop it on in a wavy kind of motion about halfway down. Cool. All right, let's do...
See who the artist is.
No, you're doing well. That's the thing. Anyone can actually do this. It's literally pouring paint out of a cup. So it's what I love about this though is literally anyone can do it. It's all about what the paint does. It's not even up to me or you. You can't control it. It's seriously really difficult to control, so just let it do its thing. And when you're applying the resin, the aim for the next layer is to sort of apply it really close to the white and even overlapping it slightly. You can probably see why now it's really important to have all your materials ready to go, because you don't want to realise that you need something else and then have to go open doors with all your sticky fingers.
So I do this really close. And a bit over?
A little bit over, but mostly kind of really at the base.
So I'm going this way.
Oh, are you? Oh, I thought you were going that way. Okay. That's good to clarify. Good. Yep, I'd probably pour all that on. And then even just like a bit of a line up the top here. Like a really thin one.
A bit of where?
Like a small sort of blue line at the top of the shore. Yeah.
Here?
Yeah. Perfect. Because that will all sort of blend in together. It's really mesmerising watching it.
Yes.
Isn't it? Yes. But even what's cool is that design that you've done, it's staying there. So whether you like it or not, you can move it to the side if you want them to kind of be together more. You can add more.
No, I like that.
Yeah, it is cool. So something like this is really fun if you get the girls together, have a couple of drinks and bring your own chopping board and all pitch in for the equipment. We'll have a go. It's a bit of fun.
So you do it through the white as well?
I'd probably, do a big thick sort of line through there. And then you can do some more to connect with that kind of, that transparent blue. Looks awesome. That's it. Doesn't have to go all the way down. That's a cool colour. Yeah, that looks sick. Man, the colours look awesome.
Yeah, they look good. Oh golly, this is looking...
You don't like it?
No, I just...
Cool. Alright, so I've made, hopefully, using green and blue, some turquoise.
So I think gold.
I think gold.
Yeah.
I think it'll, like, I love the gold.
Yeah, no, I think gold. Because the gold will look more like a bit like the sand.
Yeah, I agree. So I've gone through about half, but that's huge. Like it's the biggest one I've ever done. Which is, it's more challenging, so you've done really well.
I'm a bit nervous about the gold though.
Are you?
Mm.
Do you want me to do it? You do it. You do it. You're doing so well.
I don't quite know how you mean.
Yeah, like that.
Right across?
Maybe even just halfway. Yep. Beautiful. She's a natural.
Yeah. I've got an expert teacher. She makes it look so easy. It's not that easy.
It's not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
Looks good.
It looks real good. Alright. How do you feel?
Good.
Are you happy with it?
Yeah, yeah.
I love that. I love this area. That looks beautiful.
Oh no, I like all the colours in it.
Yeah, you could keep going forever. That's the problem. You could definitely overwork it.
Yeah.
Alright. You happy?
I'm happy.
Good?
Happy with
Alright,
that.
beautiful. So that is done. So it's as simple as that. I really hope you've enjoyed this process. I know it was probably sticky and messy, but I think the outcome is definitely worth it. I'd love it if you could please tag me in my socials if you've used this video to create your very own resin chopping board. Don't forget to give me a like and subscribe below if you've enjoyed the video, and for future videos, how to do stuff like this in the future. Thanks again for joining me. Take it easy.